All right, welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Fanon, and in this video, I think rumor is that all of this talk about who is going to fight George Kambosos might be coming to an end very, very shortly. Let's talk about that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to talk about the lightweight division, George Kambosos, Vasily Lomachenko, Devin Haney, all of that good stuff. But before we do, please make sure to hit the like button before you leave the video. Also, support our sponsor, busr.ag/Fanon. If you gamble any of the type of sports, you're going to get special benefits if you use the promotional code Fanon. But let's get into the video. All right, man. So my understanding is that this conversation that we're going through about whether Devin Haney is going to fight George Kambosos, right? George Kambosos is the lightweight champion. He's the IBF champion, the WBO champion, the WBC champion, the WBC franchise champion, the WBA champion. So, and there's been a lot of back and forth going on, but specifically kicked off by George Kambosos saying, who do I want to fight next? And trying to pretty much start, in the words of Devin Haney, trying to start a bidding war for the fight between him and whoever may be. Obviously, for me, the guy that I would like to see him fight is Devin Haney for the undisputed title. What I think should be considered the true undisputed title, which is, to get rid of that WBC, the fact that you have a WBC championship belt and a WBC franchise belt over in the WBC. Up until recently, when Mauricio Sulaiman clarified it, there was a lot of confusion and people were not really knowing who the champion was for the sake of undisputed. And then, Mauricio Sulaiman cleared it up, but honestly, cleared it up and caused just as much confusion as there was before. So I would love to see that fight get cleared out. However, my understanding is that shortly after the beginning of the year, that the WBO is going to force George Kambosos' hand and make the Vasily Lomachenko fight, order the Vasily Lomachenko fight. Now, there's also people have said that on the other side of it, I've definitely heard people say that, it's a while before that mandatory, should come up. But I looked, and the WBO mandatory for the WBO mandatory has not been satisfied by anybody in that lightweight division for over a year. Teofimo Lopez was, did not satisfy a mandatory, and he was a champion for a year. Vasily Lomachenko did not fight a WBO mandatory, and he was the WBO champion for a while. So those dates have not passed. And Bob Arum is actively, my understanding, Bob Arum is actively pushing to get Vasily Lomachenko that fight, and to get those fights, and to get to get those belts back with Top Rank. And that's who had the belts before, under Teofimo Lopez, under Vasily Lomachenko. And, also that is, my understanding is that he very well may try to get, to work out a partnership with Lou DiBella for George Kambosos, to try to get George Kambosos on multiple cards with Top Rank. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but it just really seems like, the attempt by George Kambosos to kind of take this fight to the highest bidder is not going to succeed. And Bob Arum more than likely is going to push and get that mandatory named for George Kambosos. Now, I'm not sure if that means that the mandatory for Vasily Lomachenko, if that means that they're going to be able to make that fight right away, or whether or not there's going to be a grace period. And they're going to allow George Kambosos to get one fight in. But, any way it goes, man, I think that either if Devin Haney winds up making that fight with Lomachenko's going to get called as the mandatory for Devin Haney in the next fight. But, my take on it is I just don't see that happening for I don't see anything other than the Vasily Lomachenko fight happening for George Kambosos. They're the people that, number one, can actually have the money and the interest to make the fight. With, you know, guys like Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis has the money to make the fight. Like, they can make a very, very big fight for Undisputed with Gervonta Davis, but it doesn't seem like Gervonta Davis or Floyd Mayweather and those guys really have the interest in making a fight. Like, you can listen to, like, whenever George Kambosos jumps out there and he starts talking on the internet about what he wants to do, here comes Devin Haney giving his 2 cents in and really pushing for the fight. And that's another thing I want to say. One of the reasons where I would really like to see Devin Haney get that fight is because Devin Haney really is the guy that is in pushing for that fight and pushing for Undisputed and pushing to fight Teofimo Lopez and pushing to fight Vasily Lomachenko, where Gervonta Davis really is not doing that. And so even though it may be a bigger money fight, I just think that the right thing to do would be to fight Devin Haney and basically, get those questions answered and solidify that WBA situation, and then move on probably to the Vasily Lomachenko fight. Now, if Vasily Lomachenko was to become undisputed, I'm going to tell you, man, I really do believe, though, that there's a high likelihood that Gervonta Davis would fight Vasily Lomachenko, because Vasily Lomachenko fight, I do believe, would be a situation where it would be an absolutely huge fight. Now, when that fight were to take place, I'm telling you, I would take Gervonta Davis in that fight, especially because I know it's at least a year out, and Vasily Lomachenko, as good of a fighter as he is, and I really, really do believe he's an excellent fighter, excellent fighter. I think that he's going to beat Vasily Lomachenko, if nothing else, just for the decline of Vasily Lomachenko and the ascension of Gervonta Davis, man. A lot of people, talked about that Isaac Cruz fight and act like Gervonta Davis lost that fight. Man, that man did not lose that fight. He beat that guy. He beat Isaac Cruz with one hand and showed what I consider to be excellent boxing skills. He was able to get in and out of corners against a rough fighter, a top contender, a guy that was not easy to beat, who obviously had a really good game plan for Gervonta Davis. But at the end of the day, man, this lightweight division is a very, very exciting division, and I'm just hoping that these guys get to all of these fights pan out, and that because Bob Arum is the big X factor in this for me, man. Because one of the main reason that Devin Haney never got the fight with Lomachenko to begin with was Bob Arum, and Bob Arum was not even shy about saying, that one of the big problems that there is with Devin Haney is that Devin Haney signed with the wrong promoter, right? So, and I'm telling you, Bob Arum is going to go out of his way to make sure that Eddie Hearn does not get all those lightweight belts. Because if DAZN and Eddie Hearn get their hands on them lightweight belts, more than likely that stuff's going to get split up, and they're going to try to hold on to those belts, and then Top Rank is going to lose the foothold that they have had in that weight division for a long time, man. So it's all going to be very interesting, man. The politics of it are interesting. I know a lot of people aren't really interested in the boxing politics, but I find it interesting, man, and you might as well find it interesting because it's always going to be a major part of boxing, whether you like it or not, and just kind of wishing and talking it away ain't going to change anything. But anyway, that's what I'm being told, that WBO mandatory is imminent with George Kambosos. Don't expect to see January and February go by without those guys laying it down and pretty much, directing him to fight Lomachenko. I think the other side of it is if they could come to a conclusion with Devin Haney and those guys before the mandatory is issued, that may throw, a wrench in it, but we'll see. You let me know what you think in the comment section. That's what I think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.